based on Anil Doidi or Doidi Lee, and if you are addicted.
Yuda Elul Samech Vav page Shin Nun Chet.
It's unbelievable in the process. Banged into it.
Robert, I think it was last week when you gave an example of the Orposer, how what I understood it was that coming down to Malchus of the Tzilus, the Nagid was the creation of the Bia of the Yesh Ma'ayin, so went back up to Atzma.
About 2 plus 4 this, yeah.
So how does that relate to Kes Hashem Tov? We're talking all the way.
Well, that's what we're about to see. That came the Indian from Malchus is the Indian Abirurim. The Indian Abirurim is Kes Hashem Tov. The Birurim come about through the fact that there's oil finis yesh. Because of the yesh, that's what is a necessity for Birurim. Well, that's because of the what you might call the managi, the oil must be implied. It can be the Indian from Malchus. But if I have the Indian of the necessity of Bira, and that Indian from Bira is Kes Hashem Tov, and that Indian from Kes Hashem Tov is the Indian from Araphazer, but the Indian from Bira is the Indian of Araphazer. Otherwise, you go more Matala Maila, and of course, in Yom Abriya, go back to their shores and take it further. You follow? That's the Indian, the connection with Kes Hashem Tov, the Indian from Malchus.
Isn't Malchus just a tool? Isn't Malchus a tool that we use in order to make the Birurim, or Malchus is the...
That's a very good question. But that was something I was going to more or less deal with this evening. Because that's really dealt with somewhat in the previous Maimah, but it's also not Mavur, Mamish Betasis, Bio. So maybe what we should do is learn a little bit further, bearing in mind that question. Because l'chora we have to connect it, the Indian Abirurim, we have to connect them with another factor together with Malchus. And we'll see that it's possible to link between the two. The Tabei is mentioned. Although that's a very good question. Yeah. Okay, so we're holding at the end of the Biyuv and again to the Abonim Toiveis. What they are Misave, the Oya Shibhem Misave for the Keichavim. And we saw that in the Oya of the Keichavim, there are 2 different types of Shochas. B'derech Yosha and B'derech Chayzer. And we saw that the Alter Rebbe is Marich, that Indian in the Kutzitera, in the Pasha V'yay. How you, we said that in the Pasik, had I've forgotten exactly how the Pasik begins there. In the famous Maimah, there's 2 Marmari. Dealing with the Machlekes of the 2 Malachim, Mochel and Gabriel, as to the Yossi lover, what's going to be the first stone? Is it going to be a Shoyam or a Yoshvei? Based on the fact that the Cheshem Mishpat had those 2 stones in reference to Yosef and Yomin, with all the reasons that the Alter is Marich of the Kutzitera. So there it says that the Ika oil, which is made in the Avon Tevas, is the air of the Keichavim, which are in and kneeling, right? They're very high Keichavim, higher than the ones we see, and they're the Keichavim that they give the light into the Avon Tevas down here in this world. And so we saw that that's connected also with the union with in the Avon Tevas themselves. There are 2 different types. one that it shines in a direct way to the eye and the ear. Another would sort of sends off powerful, like blinking light and jabbing light into the eye of the ear. And similarly, in the mokya of that light, how it is in the Shomayim, in the heavens, the Kechovim are also believed because there. And that's what we see that the Alter Rebbe is Marik over there. Arich is when they get to Neshamas Yisrael also compared to the Kechovim. Like Moshe Rabbeinu says, Vayisem Hayim Kechef Kechovei Shomayim L'Oroiv. The Medrash in Parashat Shmoyis and in other places in the Medrash Rabbah, there's a whole view of why the Neshamas of the Eden are compared to stars, Kechovim. And also we find when you get to the Sukkah, when you make the Sukkah, you have to be Kechovim near the Toicho in the Schach. But in the Baruch, for some reason, didn't seem particularly marked about that, even though it's Mavua in Chassidus Barichas, why that has to be. Of the Koil, it's one of the famous story that the Alter Rebbe told the person making his Sukkah was to keep putting Schach more and more all the time until it was completely covered with Schach. That's a minig in the Baruch to put a lot of Schach out in the Eid. So that makes it hard to see the Kechovim, but there is such a inyan, because the Kechovim are connected with the Makifim of Tshuva, which are Nimshach on Yom Kippurim, and which are Nimshach to the Makif Sukkah, but all big view over there in that Maimah, in the Torah Parashat Riyeh, in the second Maimah, because there's two Maimah where they start with the same Dibra Maskeh Mamish. They start with that Machlokes in the Gemara, but we're talking here about the view when I get to the whole women of the Kechovim and their relationship with the jewels and the Avonim Tevas, but that's in the second Maimah. V'atugnu miseh yuvan b'pchinas hamalchus, b'pchinas hamalchus. All these inona we saw here in the Avonim Tevas, and their union, they also have Oyer Yoshev or Choizer. What that indicates that in the Kechovim, the Lamaila, what they're indicative, as we said, of Makifim Elyonim or Madregas Elyonim in Elus Lamaila, we see that the two Tnuis of Oyer Yoshev or Oyer Choizer. V'atugnu miseh yuvan b'pchinas hamalchus. That the union of Sfiras Hamalchus, shehi b'pchinas Keser de Oyer Choizer. If you take the Seder, no matter what that's Oyer Choizer, Malchus the Keser, the Oyer Zeh, Upchinas Oyer Nailo Yoser. It's a higher Oyer, a deeper and higher Oyer than the union of Keser that is inside the Oyer Yosher. Or that's the union from Keser the Achilas prior to the Gilead of Chochmah Achilas. And here we say that the Malchus, the last of all Madregi, becomes the Keser, and it's a much higher, deeper than the of Keser, that is the Hatchila of Yoshua. Why is that? Why is it such a high oil? Because this is the Anaso Alidea Birurim. Shazeo Safe Tachlis Hakavona. She'ola b'machshava tchila b'pinas atzmus ein seif mamish. But at the end of the Berurim, that was the ultimate purpose, the seif tachlis, the finality and the ultimate intention, as you might say. She'ola b'machshava tchila b'pinas atzmus ein seif mamish. But that was oile in the intention of the Eibishter, how he is Mamish Atzmus, L'mayla Mikol HaGiluim, L'mayla Mikol HaSfiras, how he is Mamish B'Atzmusai, that there's Kaviyochel. We don't know how it is, that Kavanah, and how it's hard to say in such a Madrega Kavanah. But all we know is that there was such a Kavanah. And that Kavanah was B'machshava techila, so we already mafarish in the previous line that we learned. a mitzvah Hazois, that the word Chilo means the Havdola of the Atzmus, Batzmus Elman. The Kavona Zu Na'utzo B'Pinus HaMalchus, Shehu Inen Abiru B'Pinus Milmata L'Mayla, Shezeu Tachlis HaKavona, B'Nis Kaliyo. Al Idei Abirulim de Malchus, Mizgala Umeya Bo B'Gilui, B'Pinus Ne'itzes Atchilo Shebo. So through Malchus, bringing about the Inyan of the Birurim, then there was revealed in Malchus, Umayirbo Begilui, and there's then Maya in Sfiras HaMalchus, Begilui in Revelation, Pashtas, Bechinas Ne'itzes Atchilo Shabo, or that literally jamming in of the Chila, meaning the Atzmus, how he is Mamish moved of the wall, the Giluim, and we saw that was Nautz Chilos on per se fun. We saw that the word Nautz meant something Lamaila Mitan Vadas, it's jammed in literally in the lowest of all Madregas in Malchus. And how does that become Mishkale through the Inyan of the Birurim Anasim Alidei Malchus? And that arouses in Atzmus Ein Seif the Kavana Mitzad Tchilo Mitzad Atzmus how he is Atzmus and then it comes into Gilui, that Ne'itza, or that presence L'mayla Mitan Vadas in Malchus of the Eibishter, how he is Tchilo, or that becomes revealed in Malchus, and it becomes Meir Begiloi in the sphere of Malchus through the fact that Malchus carries out the Inyan Birurim. Shezeu Bechinas Nalo Ba'ein Areich. This is a much higher incomparably, from any point of view. In other words, Ba'ein Areich, Gabi B'Tins Ha'eres V'Giluim Ein Seif Shemilamayla Mata. This now is revealed in Malchus, Ne'itzes Atchila, which is being revealed in Malchus through having carried out the Inyan Birurim. But that touches the Kavana, how it is Mamish in Tchila, how he is moved on. Biatzmus is brought up, and that reveals itself now in Sfiras HaMalchus. Well, that causes the new Kesser, which is now formed through that Iskalas in Malchus, to be in even that it's Ein Areich, like Abi B'Chinas Ha'eres V'Giluim, the Ein Seif, Shemilamayla, meaning Yoshua, that in the Seder of Yoshua, Kesser is the first, but that's Kesser of Atzilus, Lamayla Mi Chochma. But this Kesser, how it is in Malchus, is Ein Areich higher than the Giluim, how they were in the Seder Masuda in Yoshua, Milmata Shemilamayla Lamata. V'yesh Gilui B'Chinas Helem Ho'atzmi the Ein Seif Mamish. That there should be in the Inyan of Malchus the Gilui, the Helem Ho'atzmi, the Helem of the very essence of the Atzmus in Malchus, and instead of being Helem Ho'atzmi, well, that becomes Gilui. In other words, what does it mean Helem Ho'atzmi? By definition, Helem of the Atzmus, how he's moved on, we call Inyan Hagilui, and he's moved on, as we saw in the Inyan from Tchilo. That's the Etzim, how he's from Malam and Kol on him. Well, that becomes revealed. In other words, there occurs a mamish shinui boy from the Sapcho, absolutely in the Seder. Tzad Atzmus is born. Tzad Atzmus, the Atzmi is Behelem, and it's in a very, very high Helem, but that's called the Helem Ho'atzmi. It's moved out, Nelam Mikol, Al Giluim, Akia Dinim, or Dafki, that becomes Mishkala in Malchus, Begilui, Alidei, the Inyan Abirulim Sheba Malchus. So that's what we come now to the conclusion that is the Inyan V'hainu V'sehu Inyan Keser Shem Teiv She'ela Al Gabeihen L'mayla Mi'agim U'Ksorim V'naseh B'chinas Makif Lohem. So that's the Pshat Keser Shem Tov Eila Al Gabeihem. Keser Shem Tov is how Malchus Milmata L'mayla becomes now Keser. In other words, that's the Keser of Malchus. How it is Keser Shem Tov. That's the Keser of Malchus. That is Milmata L'mayla, and that reaches an incomparably higher Madrega Ein Areich, even compared to Keser, how it is Milmayla L'mata. And so he says that comes mitad the inyan of the Tachlis Hakavona be carried out through Sfiras HaMalchus. And what is that? The Birurim of B'der Milmata L'mayla, that's the inyan of Choyzer B'chulu, and that causes the Iskalas at the Helem HaAtzmi Mamish in Sfiras HaMalchus. So we need to understand what does it mean, the inyan of Birurim Mitzat Malchus. What does it mean, the Birurim Mitzat Malchus? So that was dealt with very briefly earlier in the Mar. We mentioned a couple of lines there, but it was also brought down a little more the Arichas in the previous Drush. And that is, we saw that the inyan of Biro was Tafki Mitzat the Nefilas on the Tutsus Toil Matoihu, but they fell Lamata, even from Richuk Mia oil upon of his blood, and they fell down until they became an inyan from Mamish Yesh in the Elamatakt and here Lamata. And the truth is that wherever there's a inyan of Nivroim, but there's Yesh in the Elamas Haruchnim, Yitzira and Bria, there's also a certain trace in those inyonim of the Nefilas HaNitzutz Elamatoi. It is the Ika HaNefila and the Ika HaBira is in Olam Hazeh HaTachton. So what's that got to do with the inyan from Malchus? Because who does the Bira? The Mensch does the Bira. Malchus Tzilus doesn't actually make the Bira. It would appear that the Mensch, for Lamate, he's the one who makes the Bira. The Mensch means Yidden, Atem Krui Modon. The Ike Bira, but the Netzutz is Shenoflut, the Shviras HaKelim, the Tevis, Alidei the Nishomas. So what do you mean by saying that it's Alidei Malchus? And if it is Alidei Malchus, how does it occur? How does Malchus make these birur? So we have to explain the following. There's two inyanim in Malchus. First of all, Malchus has it's a mokir for the whole Bria Yesh Mi'ayin of all the Oilamos Bria Yitzira Rashi. And that's the koyach in the Esesphiras through which he aims to create the world. And he brings about the Oilamos Nivroim, Nifrodim, and he gives them chayas and he's machayah them all through the inyan from Sfiras HaMalchus. That's the inyan of Melech. Shmoi Nikra Aleihem, the whole moshel of kingship and Melech, Shayach, Davkin the inyan from Eilos Biyah, because a Melech has to have something which is ein Melech Alei, he has to have a separate entity for himself. That's the inyan from Eilos Biyah, Tzir Ratzir. So, Malchus is a medium for which these inyanim are mishaveh. However, since we see that there's a inyan, if we take the marshal of Malchus, we see that there are two inyanim in the way the king relates to the country. But first of all, it's in fact The subjects are there is totally in him. Their simple necessities of life are all totally in the king. In other words, that they're basic, what you might call matziyas. Ayom yomiyas is dependent in Melech. And even to this day, that there's no Melech. I don't know if there's any place in the world where Melech per se is mamish remains. But we see in certain Medinas, in most probably Rov Medinas, the Shalit and the people, they run the country, they have a certain, albeit it may have been given to them by voting, but once they got it, then the day-to-day Hanoga of the Medina is in their hand. And to a certain extent, Ein Poitzapel Mitzavsef. Nobody can say anything against the ruling powers. We see in this country where it's in the hands of people who have given in entirely to the whole concept of the Islamic revolution in the world. And they've come to the conclusion that Ein Malasot, it didn't start to be bottled, to the Koyach HaIslam in the whole world. It's going to become part of the states, which they imagine are eventually going to be taken over by Islam. So everybody just slept at noch and Ein Bitzapel Mitzavs. Ein Mishi Yaseh Shum Dova. Ein Ish Meir Eshyod El Yisradlo. And Miyom El Yom, the whole situation becomes worse and worse and worse. To the point that it's almost, reached the point of no return. It's hard to imagine how it could ever be taken back, except on the day of Melech HaMashiach. We see that the ordinary necessities of people are totally in the shalit, or that's the Melech. But on the other hand, we see that the Melech has a kavona. He has a kavona pneumias in what he intends. What is the upshot of the whole country? Why has he got people? What does he need them for? In other words, what's he aiming for with his whole malchus, his whole kingship? In other words, he has what you might call his policy, his shitta, his malach, what he's looking for. What is the tachlis of the ganze malchus? So that's also the case with malchus. Malchus doesn't just be mahava biyah. Now, malchus is the medium through which the Eibush gives forth the highest of the Nivan, but also he expresses through malchus what does he ultimately intend with the ganze bria. Mahu rotzeh in kol bria. So therefore malchus gives forth as our highest, a more pneumistic highest than just a pure kiyum, and that has got to do with the union of literally sorting out and fixing up and being metaking all the things that are needed in the Medina. What we see, that's what the king is supposed to do. But Rahman in Islam, if he wants, he can be maharis, he can ruin everything. But if he's not supposed to do that, mitzad amitius union, he's supposed to be metaking. So that's what Malchus does. And Malchus gives forth another sort of chayas. What Malchus is mashpia achayas into the world. Fi the kavana. Was it the emissary? Was it the emissary kavana? What is the purpose of the king, and what is not the purpose of the king? And that also goes through Malchus. Here's where the question occurs: that Malchus Kaviyochel doesn't do that entirely on its own. And that's another Indian in Malchus, that it's also the shurish of the nishomas. The pneumis of Malchus is the shurish of all the nishomas. In other words, that the Eibush sends down the nishomas, that they also go through Malchus into the world. And so these nishomas come down into the world, and they form like a sort of a, if they're good nishomas and they do the will of the king, then they form a partnership with the chayas that comes out of Malchus, and literally Malchus indicates what should really be done. That becomes part of Torah. It reveals itself alidei. All the great gedolei HaTorah, the Moira Haderach Shebais Hazman, understand what is the Ikka Veda Vidavna, how are we supposed to deal with the world for each other, man. And so the Nishomas and the Indian of Ki, which is being Miskala Ali Day, Sfiras HaMalchus, join together and they form a sort of a Shutfes. But why the Nishomas still need Malchus is because the Malchus sends down the Chayas, and it sends down this high form of Chayas, which indicates what is really meant to be done, what is the Ike Avoida, the Ike Tachlis. But once the Nishomas have done what they can do, then Malchus has to elevate all this in Yodim and bring it back into its church. What that's brought down in Torah Barit is a famous minor in Pashim Miketz, where the Alter talks about the whole Sod Abira. It's not the koyach, the neshama, how she used Lamata to elevate everything back through the higher worlds, mamish into Atzilus for Eid Lamayla Atzilus, into the Shorosh, before mamish Aliyah in the Oilus of Toihu. Well, that's not the koyach, the neshama's atzmon. Therefore, you got Sfiras HaMalchus. What Sfiras HaMalchus, literally through its how would you call it, rays of chayas which are sent into the world, it takes the birurim which are put literally into its what you might call spiritual hands that have gone out, and the shamas put the tutsis into the hands of Malchus, and Malchus elevates them through the elamas eventually into Malchus Ta'atzilas and then Od L'maylam. So we see that the connection is both in the Yerida and the Aliyah of the Inyan. First of all, Malchus gives out a Chayiv, which is not just the highest of the world, but it's the Kavanah Pnimis of the world. And it reveals what is the Kavanah Pnimis and how things should be done. What is the Ratzon of the Eibishter, Be'inyan Zeh or Be'inyan Zeh. Well, that's Be'ikya, the Torah should be al Peh. We see that the Torah should be al Peh in every generation. It's got all its special interpretations and all the special Shailas and Chuvas and all the special Inyanim which are shot to that particular dirt. And that comes through the Gila of Malchus. That's how the Inyan from Malchus reveals to us what is the way that the Torah should be done. Then the Nishomas come along and they've got to do the work. The ones who actually do the Inyan, they are the Nishomas. And they also come from Malchus. And then when the Nishomas actually do the work, then it's got to go back into the church from which it all came. And that Malchus then elevates back what the Nishomas have actually done, because they don't have the koychon to elevate what they've been mavara. The nitzutz out was they're caught under the Esther of the Yerida side. Nitzutz to tell you, the Neshama doesn't have the koyach to bring that back through all of the Alter Rebbe Mavai over there by Arichas, that you have to have a koyach which is nimshuk no maila in two different times to bring the nitzutzis back to their original shayla. But that's once again the union from Sfiras HaMalchus. So we see that Sfiras HaMalchus functions both when you get to the Yerid of a Gila, the Kavona, that's the Torah Shebal Peh, the Gedora HaTorah, the Manigi HaTorah Shebechol Torah HaTorah. Well, that comes through the union from Malchus, and that indicates what has to be done. Then Malchus literally takes back all the Birurim once they've already been done. Of in the middle you got the Nishomas. In the middle you have the Yidden, what they have to carry out, the Ika Inyan of the Birur. And that's what later in the Maimon that I was going to make a connection between the Avodah of certain types of Nishomas and Malchus. Because if you want to really carry out the Birur in the Emerson way, then you've got to serve the Eibishter in the way Malchus is Miskala. Because as we said, Malchus is revealing in that particular time and in that particular mind what is the Emerson Kavanah. Then the Avodah, the Nishomas are going to be appropriate to that type of Gila which is coming from Sfiras HaMalchus. So it follows that ultimately, if it's not Sfiras HaMalchus, there wouldn't be any Birur cloud. The whole Birur is Alidei Sfiras HaMalchus. But in the middle, ultimately, to carry it out, there has to be the Neshomas in the middle. They actually do the actual work. But the whole thing is done by Malchus, both from the beginning and at the end. But in the middle, you got the singing of the Neshama. Therefore, the Rebbe is going to say a bit further on what sort of Aveda is demanded of the Neshamas if the Ika is Malchus, and what sort of what sort of avodah the neshamas have to do in order to appropriate themselves to the giver that Malchus is showing versus Zman. We're going to see that in the generations after the Gilui, Pnimus HaTorah, by the Baal Shem Tov, the Yisrael, v'chulei, then there's a special type of avodah, what is the avodah Sameshamas. Bizmanenu, and that's revealed here in the Samech Vav. That's what we're going to say. What is the Ika type of avodah, the Neshamas Bizman HaSeh. So that's basically the connection, that's the answer to your question. That's how the union of Malchus, but later we'll see the Neshamas, that's how they unite together in the union of Bira. And him said that without Malchus there wouldn't be any Bira. Malchus is the Gilui, the Efshodius, and the indication of how it should be the Bira. Sof, those Birurim are done by the Neshamas Lamata, and then Malchus takes them all back into the, what you might call it, the storage sack, huge sack of the storage bag, draws all the Inyanim back, and takes them up to their original shortage. And we saw that one of the Ike Nagudas that is, that's also a union which is only the scholar, Alidei Pnimus HaTorah, Alidei Nesiei Chabad, the Ikar, the even of the Birurim, the Shleimus movement, is that you have to be poiled in the nitzutz itself, how it is, the Nefila Lamata. You have to be poiled in the union that it itself wants to be misbarak, not just that you are mavared by bringing a high force into it, and it's, as it were, it's rescued and drawn out from the Yerida, in which you find itself that you poil that it itself wants to go. It has itself to take it for a rotzen to be misbarak. That's a new doigish that occurs stuck in terms of Chabad, that the Ike Bira is that you poil after Welt, and the Welt not the line that it wants to be better. That's will very better than Hercha. That's what you're going to poil. It's Bamela Yesh Leimer, that's happening, this Manenu. It's happening almost in front of our eyes. It's except for certain peoples, but they say that maybe they're not so interested in looking at that. Nonetheless, that's what's in effect. That's what's happening. That's the Indian of Kesher Shem Tov. Kesher Shem Tov is the Choizer out of the Neshamas Lamata clause that everything's going back. Not just they're going back with the Netzutzis that they pulled out, but everything's going back. The whole world, the whole Bria is going back, willingly carry off with a tremendous dishrei to the Eberstein. And that's the union of Kesher Shem Tov.
So would we say that all the neshamas that are coming down after Nun Aleph, Nun Beis are by nature should be more Meshichistim than the ones before, because the Rebbe started the whole...
Yeah. Yes, I would say that's right. They've got to be educated. That is their whole being here in this world. And then the answer to that question, which is it's interesting. I was going to chapter asked that question. Is that we have an example of it happening here in Autumn. There's a group of guys who are trying to get to the river. I hope they're going to. It's still connected with Meshuggah Nazach and Geld. All sorts of strange Dwarim Chumrium. But nonetheless, this group. Now, with all due love and respect, but none of these guys have ever seen the river. They don't know what do they even know ultimately? All about Lubavitch. They don't know a tremendous amount of the whole history of Lubavitch and everything why. They don't know a great deal even about all sorts of inyanim. And yet they know that this is tremendous brand. Yes, they want the Rebbe, and they say with a tremendous chayas. If you are Melech HaMashiach, if you are Dineinu, Moreinu, Rabbeinu, more than what some of the Alter are doing. And some of the Alter creates, they find it hard, they hand their hair, do a chant. But the Yungin Neshamas are full of it. And therefore the Ike kibbutz of the Neshamas in Gufa to 770. It's Manaseh at this time of the year. Be'ikah is Bochum. I mean, there's Yom Light. I mean, later on in Simchas Torah, a lot of the Balabatim roll in as well, And I'm not saying there's no Balabatim rolling, but the immense majority of people who are rolling now, beginning from, Chayel and further, into 770, are Bocher, Jung Yecheva, Kulam, Kainef and say, never saw the road. Basically, and he's grown it in a certain way. But he knows everything with Tarasheni, and I would say that 85% or more of those Bocher Mamish Christian, they believe that the Rebbe's Messiah, they believe that there's something that's got to be done to the world called Moshiach. And that's it. And it's an amazing phenomenon. And it's Chuilach and Mishrachim, it's Chuilach and Mikaber, Chuilach and Godim. Just a number of these young kinder. And so that's the amazing thing. With the Yeshiva in Tzfas, you've got about 400 Bochum out there, and also they're clutching, they don't know where to put anybody, they can't fit everybody in, and it's not the most longest yeshiva that's ever been in the world. I mean, probably there've been, bigger yeshivas and longest and all the other, in history. What is it? Moshiach, I swear to God, the Bochum influence, these young neshamas, they want to. And they're alive, and their faces are alive, It's a pillar place. And the same with Yindilai, that those that have taken on the whole, maybe they don't get as far as saying Moshiach, Rebbe is Mamish Moshiach, or they have the Chayas of Moshiach, they live, you can see on them another brand. And that's because it's exactly what you said. After Nun Aleph and Nun Beis, there's a whole new Shlichut. And all the Birurim have been done. It's just a question of getting them all back, get all the Netzutzes back and finishing the job and just making the Machir Bapati. There should be these scholars, Moshiach Bapaya. That's in effect what is happening. Now, I mean, it's a piddly place, in other words, that's what we said, the Sfiras HaMalchut, but the Rebbe happens to be Sfiras HaMalchut. The Sfiras HaMalchut indicates in the generation what's going to be done. And then the Neshamas get it done. And so he's already indicated, he's indicated that now he's going to bring Moshiach. That's it. He's going to bring Moshiach. And we see that every minute that it's delayed, the world just gets into a worse mess. It's not helping. The whole delay is in no way being mishalish anybody to tell you. So the big shaila is the Chayva say, why is the delay? So why stays that the Eivishter wants it? Those who should know about it should at least say, yes, we want Moshiach. There has to be some Kabbalah Klolius on the part of Chalapachis to Yerach Yidin, the Yidin, the Shema. Emunim, it's a day after Tzeidah Yitzhak. Eivishter, let's have it. The prayer. And the younger generation, they're showing the way. And the Ikya in Bismarck was there, in my opinion, is to follow the young generation, to take the inspiration from there. And that's what the Mishnah says over there and say to them. Wie steht das? Der Pnei Yelodim, Yalbina, Pnei Azakainim, wie steht das in Russian? They, of course, there's a cane to blush, with shame. So what can we do? We just have to face it, that's the Matthias, that the young Yeshua are putting someone to shame. And therefore it's a tremendous Indian that all these young Shons should make their way to 770. It's a tremendous Indian, they should be there. Because something inside them, I call Pnima, the Lo Yishtama, but it's becoming Mishtama, it's already becoming Mishtama. Says, we felt we want to be with the Melech, and that's it. Yechia Melech Hamshim. That's in effect what is. That's the answer to your question. But that's in effect what is happening. Because Malchus is now revealing to us what is the Bira. The Bira is not a Bira in the old way. It's a Bira. But there's Shabbos already. It's like just going higher and higher the whole time. Alameda said, the Rebbe שזהו בחינת המיילה בעין הרייך לגבי הארץ הגילויים דרך סייף של המיילה למטה וישוי גילו בחינת הלם העצמי דאין סייף ממון the helm of the Atzmus himself, how he's nelam by definition from all possible giluim. Nonetheless, that's going to be begolul. It literally goes up above their backs. Higher than Keser, Kahuna, Keser Alches, and even Keser Torah, even higher. Keser Torah. And it becomes a makif to them. In other words, completely beyond and over, transcendent to them. Hainu b'chinas gilui b'chinas makif da'er choizer, shezo b'chinas elem ha'atzmi, she'eino begeder shayches klau Elohim. As one on, what's called the makif da'er choizer, it's moving on 9 bases. I just learned that a week or so ago with the Intelai. Go away from makif da'er choizer with the Indian of Mem the Samech that brings here. It's a pillar. The pins of Ashkocha Pratis is so unbelievable. What I learned over there in 9 bases, we're mentioning it here. Of Al Chaponim, there's what's called the Makif of Oyel Yosha, and then there's a Makif to El Choiza. So that means that if the El Choiza is an Ein Arich, higher light, even the Pratyat Dvarim, now it is Milmata Lamaila, then states it that the Makif, the Oil which is Makif was there, is Ein Arich higher. A much greater makif than the makif of Oil Yosha. So therefore, the makif of Oil Choizer is a zah makif that can't be begoro, klau, derech. It's just moved out completely, and even we have in Hashpoya Lamata, we have an Emerson Mashpia is makif certainly in Mashpia, certainly in Yonim. Then there's a certain return back into him of things that he can't possibly give over, but they keep sort of going deeper and higher. He keeps seeing deeper and higher things when he's trying to give over. He keeps seeing new things that are within his own understanding, and they become a tremendous makif over what he actually says to the Makabrim. And that's called the makif of El Choizer, and that's never miskala to the Makabrim. The makifim which are here miskala of the makif of El Choizer, it just remains too much part of him that he should ever be able to give it over. It's even more than what's written there after 40 years. A man should call him a dai to the rabbi. Okay, that's already a makif which is shy to panimi. Over here, it's a makif which will never be miskala al derech harogim. Yet nonetheless, through the avedus habirurim, lamata, then it is miskala. So the Rebbe says, "V'ainu b'chinas gilui makif the Oil Choizer." What that's the inen of the Oil is how they go back into the Mashpia, into the Eibushter Kaviyachal Amayla, even from Havdola, Gemura, and they're kilo mistalik in a way that they're only mishyachid with these atzmas. They don't actually come down begolui in any way, and therefore he calls them the Helem Ha'atzmi. They're shy to that makif is shy to the Atzmi himself. Aviz betachas ha'elem she'eina begeder shayches klau Elohim, because it never comes in any form of gilui to the Elam. That's mudam yemba betachas mitzad Atzmi. So now he says that v'hainu okay, you do a being in mem v'samoch, the mem stuma. שהיא בחינת מקיף, אבל היא מרובה, שיש לו יששפס, and then he goes on to say, אבל סמוך הוא איגו שאין לו יששפס כלל. Now, what's the union that he's talking about here? There's a famous statement that the Zohar Kodesh in Parshat Truma, the Zohar Kodesh says that there's a famous little, it's like a fruit that grew on certain trees in the time. When it came into that soil at the time of our sages, it was still available, still possible to see it. That was called the Afar Semoin. It's called the Afar Semoin. Now, there's a certain fruit which grows nowadays, it's like a cross between others. It's horticulturalists or something may have brought this fruit apart. For some weird reason, they could on Afar Semoin, so don't, under any circumstances, confuse it with different. It's nothing like that whatsoever. And the Afar Semoin was a small tree, and it had in it this almost bean-shaped type of fruit. But it had the most amazing reach, absolutely amazing smell. And they used to make the shemen from it. It was called shemen Afar Semoin. It's supposed to have all sorts of amazing effects. If you smell it, it can just take you into some other world. It was an amazing thing. And that's called the Afar Semoin Dakia, it's called in the Zohar Kodesh. But it was a symbol for very, very high young. So the word Afar Semoin is it's gotten itself. So maybe if I write it for you on a piece of paper, I can show you what the that's the word Afar Semoin. Now, if you take those two letters there, then you get another word called a Afroyoin, without the samach and the mem in the middle. And if you put a yud in, you get the word Afroyoin. The word Afroyoin is mentioned when you get to Shlomo HaMelech, to his they made this like beautiful throne, some chair for Shlomo HaMelech. It's called Afroyoin Shlomo. So the word Afroyoin means like a beautiful, tremendously decorated kisei throne, like carrying, you used to carry a person on a sitting seat. That's an Afroyoin. So therefore, Afar Semoin with the samach and the mem in it, well, that's Bina, that's Filas Bina, and in Bina Gufa, a Heimatreige, in Bina outside and becoming a mocker for the Midas, the whole name, Afar Semoin, and then Afroyoin is Malchus. Afroyoin is Shlomo HaMelech, Malchus. So that's a sign that Malchus is called to take Bina with a whole big Arichas Hapir, Kabbalah, suffice it to say, what separates the two is these two words in these two letters in the middle. And the Zohar Kodesh said over there that they are really a samach and a mem sofi. They are not an ordinary mem, but a mem sofi. That's why the Zohar Kodesh says so. The word Afar Semoin is written Aleph Reish Samach Mem Sofi Vav Nun. Sofi. So the Zohar Kodesh says over there, what's the mile of these two Isiyas? So it's written there in the Zohar Kodesh that the difference is that Samach is a circle. Now a circle never rests on any given point. It just stands where it is. It doesn't rest, be shashvas on any point. Because wherever you draw the circle, it will rest on the same point. Now I think in a Mem Sofi has got a straight, like sitting point. It rests to a certain extent on a surface. But that's indicatory of a Makiv, but a Makiv has a certain reference to that which is Mukaf B'toicha. It's got a certain Kiru to it. I think in the samach is a circle. A circle is equally far from everywhere. In order, a circle doesn't relate in any. It doesn't sort of have a issue with recovery in anything. It's just completely makif. al Masha B'Toich. That's the difference between Pnimis Ve'atziyas HaMakiv and Makiv HaKorev, as it's called. Now, that's what we call here the Makiv Havel Yoshua and the Makiv Havel Oiza. The Makiv Havel Yoshua, they're the Makifim, but they have some shaykhs and some yachas also pointing to the different madregas and Seidish Taushras, but they're Makifim way. Right? We saw the other night that Tiferes the Eiman has a Kesel Azor, and Tiferes the Azor has a Kesel Amalchis. Samech is indicative of our Makiv, but he's a Makiv Kloli, he's a Roshat Cloud to all the madregas. Modum we have, well, that's a Makiv Royal Choizer. He's something that all times is drawn into the Atzmas. He doesn't reveal himself. That's called the Elam Atzma. So those are the two madregas of Sam and Mem, Samach and Mem. Very good. That's basically what you know there in the Zohar. So listen, that's what the Rebbe means here. That's what he's referring to. And over in Ayin Beis, we learned it just a week ago, there's quite a big arichas here to the Zohar. So he said, V'ainu Gilad Vins Makiv Derech HaIzar, U'kiyadu Binyan Mem V'Samach, the Mem Stuma, but he doesn't go into the Afasim one here. It's really not really his point, so he doesn't mention all even the Afasim. But it's well known, the relationship between the Samach and the Mem Stuma. He says, Shehi B'chinas Makiv. Aval, the union of Mem Stuma, the final Mem, is a Makiv, but he's a Merubas. He's a square. Sheyesh lo Yishashvas. She has a certain settlement, self-settlement. V'ainu b'chinas Makiv, sheyesh lo Eizes Shaychas al Chaponim El Ho'ilamas. V'ainu b'chinas HaGiluim de'erei Seif. In other words, it's a Makiv, and there's different Makivim in that Marga, and they're Makiv to the Eilamas, but they have a certain Shaychas. And therefore there's different madregas in that Makiv also, like we saw this. Makiv God is Mitzat Tiferes Deima, and Makiv God is Mitzat Makiv from Kesel, and Gabi Chokmo, for the different Makiv. But they have a certain Ishashvas, and they come from the madrega, Lamaila, in their Shurish. Arishan is Giluim, things which are already Begilui from the Eibishter. Ayinim of Oirois, Begiluim Mimeno. But Aval Samoch Hu Ogu. It's circular. She'ein lo yishashvas klal. There's not any settlement anywhere. Ainu b'chinas Makiv de'erech HaIzar. Hu b'chinas Elam Atzma. That's the very Elam of the Eibishter. So she'ein lo shaychas klal elo Elam. It has no relationship, or in any way, is it in any way some sort of settlement towards the Elamas, or all the Elamas are just completely and utterly Batelim Megabizeh, and it's completely withdrawn from them, being as it is, shy to the Helam of the Reyat himself. By Mashin is Boli Iyo, Giba Maskul Hashemayim Misaplim in the Maimah earlier in the Hemshech. Hashemayim Misaplim, the Dibor HaMaskul Nosoi, Pash Nosoi, Beginning Makiv HaKarov, or Makiv HaRach, that's what's called up in Chassidus Chabad, a near Makiv and a far Makiv, or Makiv HaKarov and a Makiv HaRach. So, B'chinas Kesher Shem Tev, Sha'ila Al Gabeihen, Ainu B'chinas Malchus Davke. Both of these synonyms are Shayat Davke in the Indian from Malchus. In other words, it is Makifim which are Nimshofim Alidim Malchus, which have a certain Shayat to Elams, the emes Makiv of the Choizer Sheba Malchus is Be'emes the Makiv of the Samach. That's the Makiv of the Choizer. The oil which is going back through the spheres, or the original etching of that oil in Keser, well, that's a Makiv which is really higher than the whole meaning of Oilamas. And how do you get to that? Through the union from Keser Shem Tov, She'ila Al Gabayin, Anabkin Samalchus Davke. Like a Meshikosu, Evan Moas, Aboinim, Hoyasalaresh, Pino. So, that's a person in Hallel, right near the end of Hallel. You say when you're repeating those psukim right near the end, you say that Evan Masu Abrainim, Evan Masu Abrainim Hoyasol Reish Pinor. So what that means is that I say you learn on Kimat all of the Foshim, but they learn in slightly different ways. I say learn Rashi also. That the word Moasu here is from the word limos, something means like to contempt it or to feel it to be like objective. The limos, the aleph, Moasu. He says that there's a certain inyan of a Evan Shemasu Abayim. In other words, the Abayim who are building walls, they look for better stones than that. He's just a little stone that's pushed aside. Davki that Evan Shemasu Abayim, that's Hoyasol Reish Pino. That Davki turns back and becomes the one that they want to put at the top of the wall to show off the beauty of the whole corner of the wall. The Pino is like the high point at the top of the wall. All the observers from a distance are going to see that stone. Normally they would choose the biggest Porsche stone, but they got. What happens is that Davki that Evan, that Moasu Abayim, the normal Bainim said, oh, that's nothing. Well, the Avish says, no, that's the stone he wants at the top of the wall. Evan Moasu Abayim Hoyasol Reish Pino. So the Rebbe said, what is in an Evan? Evan who Aleph Ben or Aleph Ban. Aleph Ban, like it's put down in Shal Ichlik Ve'emunah. Alter brings it down there in two places, or he brings down Aleph Ban, the Periches, Perites. Evan who Aleph Ben, Ainu Shem Ban. The word Ben in Evan, or Ban rather, in Evan, is indicative to the Shem Ban. We already talked about that a couple of weeks ago. That's the Shem Havaya Milui Hayin, one way. Milui Hayin. Yeah. Hamavale Birurim Denoiga Lamata. So what is it? America is Chassan.
Maybe because it's Tesvav Elul. Tesvav Elul.
Tonight is Tesvav. You know, so it's Tesvav. Hey, today was your daughter, right?
It is. Fancy.
Yeah, today was your daughter. I did tonight, so it's Tesvav. וזהו בחינת קשר שפטר של הקבעים ובחינת המלכס Evan Mos Abayim Moyasol Reish Pino. So he says Ban is the union from Shem Ban. Hamavara Birurim. Shem Ban is the Shem Havaya. It comes down to be Mavara all the Birurim. And it's Mavara Birurim the Noiga from Klippus Noiga Lamata Babiyah. So Pinas Dovid. It's got to do with Dovid Amelech. He said this Posik. It's got to do with Dovid Amelech. It's one of he was also a simple, at the beginning of his career, though it was not particularly noticeable. He thought he was just a pushed shepherd and the whole thing. David Ragla Revere, he's the fourth foot, literally, the fourth leg of the Kisei. Akovid, with the three obvious, Avromis and Yanku, they're the other three, right time. But a Kisei can't stand on three reglaim, it's on the fourth regel. So the fourth regel is David Amelech, but he's even from Malchus. Shelamata Migimel Kavim de Kesa Torah Kesa Kavuna. Therefore it's more, so it's lower. People sort of hold it to be a lower thing. He always said Davkila Reish Pino, the Davki Malchus goes back and rises to the highest of 4 points. Lamaila Mikol Asfiros. And it becomes a Kesser, a Mila Mihem, the Gamma Vazesha Oma, that's what's in the Pusik, Vayas, Dovid, Shane. In the Pusik in Shmuel Beis. David, when he came back from the war against Esau, against Edom, that's written Vayas, Dovid, Shane. He made for himself a name, literally. Daina Bechinas Kesher Shem Toiv, Anasa, Alideh, Avedus, and before you. So we'll see about that in future and developing episodes. Shem Yas Toli Chen, Tavki Meit Shem, Asiya, Lamata, King and Abirur, etc. So we'll see about that as we go. Alright, so what's been used around here the last couple of days? Everything been alright? Yeah.